Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
What's going on, Mets fans? And I'm going to be completely honest with you right from the start. This video is going to make some people very uncomfortable because we're going to talk about something that a lot of fans don't want to acknowledge. We need to discuss the hard truth about Steve Cohen's $8 billion casino project and whether the Mets are just a stepping stone, just a tool, just a means to an end for getting that casino approved. Hit that like button if you've been thinking the same thing, and stick around because what I'm about to break down is going to make you question everything about why Steve Cohen really bought this team in the first place. Let me lay out the timeline for you, because when you see it all mapped out, the picture becomes very clear and very disturbing. Steve Cohen bought the Mets in November 2020 for $2.4 billion. At the time, everyone celebrated. Finally, the Wilpons were gone. Finally, the Mets had an owner with deep pockets who could compete with the Yankees and Dodgers. Finally, there was hope. Cohen said all the right things about wanting to win championships and being willing to spend whatever it takes, and fans believed him. But here's what nobody was talking about at the time. Steve Cohen had bigger plans, much bigger plans. He wanted to build a massive casino and entertainment complex in Queens. And you know what helps when you're trying to get approval for a controversial $8 billion casino project? Owning the most beloved sports team in the area, having the goodwill of the community, being seen as someone who's invested in Queens and in New York. Now, I'm not saying Steve Cohen bought the Mets solely to get his casino approved, but I am saying that the timing is awfully convenient. He buys the team in 2020. He spends a few years building goodwill, investing in the organization, saying all the right things about being committed to winning. And then, boom, he gets approval for his $8 billion casino project at Metropolitan Park. Mission accomplished. And what's happened to the Mets immediately after that casino approval? The worst offseason in Cohen's tenure as owner. Pete Alonso gone, Edwin Diaz gone, Brandon Nimmo traded, the roster getting objectively worse, David Stearns operating with a small market mentality despite having unlimited resources, and Steve Cohen seemingly absent from the decision-making process, allowing all of this to happen without intervention. You're telling me that's just a coincidence? You're telling me it's just bad luck that the Mets are falling apart right after Cohen got what he really wanted, which was approval for his casino? I don't buy it, and I don't think you should either. Let's talk about what that casino means to Steve Cohen from a business perspective. $8 billion. That's more than 3 times what he paid for the Mets. The annual revenue from that casino is going to be measured in hundreds of millions of dollars, potentially over $1 billion once it's fully operational. Compare that to the Mets, which as a business entity is worth maybe $4 billion now and generates much less annual revenue. From a pure financial standpoint, the casino is exponentially more valuable than the baseball team. So if you're Steve Cohen and you're a businessman first and foremost, where are your priorities going to be? Are you going to focus on the $8 billion casino that's going to generate massive returns? Or are you going to focus on the baseball team that, let's be honest, is more of a passion project than a serious business investment? The answer is obvious. The casino is the priority. The Mets are secondary. Now, here's where it gets really cynical, but stay with me because I think this is important to consider. Owning the Mets gave Steve Cohen credibility and goodwill in New York. It made him a public figure. It made him sympathetic. Sports team owners are generally viewed positively by the public, especially when they're spending money and trying to win. And all of that goodwill helped when Cohen was trying to get his casino project approved. Think about the opposition he faced. There were community groups concerned about traffic and crime. There were other casino proposals competing for the same license. There were politicians who needed to be convinced. And through all of that, Steve Cohen could point to his ownership of the Mets and say, look, I'm invested in Queens. I care about this community. I'm committed to New York. The Mets gave him cover. They gave him legitimacy. They made his casino proposal more palatable. And now that the casino is approved, now that he's got what he wanted, the commitment to the Mets seems to have evaporated. The promises about aggressive spending and championship-level dedication have been replaced by David Stearns making Milwaukee Brewers moves with the richest owner in baseball. It's like Cohen got his casino approved and immediately stopped caring about whether the Mets are actually competitive. Let me also point out something that really bothers me. The casino is literally called Metropolitan Park. It's playing off the Mets brand. It's using the association with the baseball team to market itself. Steve Cohen is leveraging the Mets' popularity and the fans' loyalty to sell his casino project. And meanwhile, those same fans are watching their baseball team get worse because Cohen won't hold his front office accountable. That feels exploitative to me. It feels like Cohen used the Mets and the fan base to get what he really wanted, which was that casino approval. And now that he has it, the baseball team is being neglected. The roster is deteriorating. Star players are leaving, and Cohen is nowhere to be found, presumably focused on his $8 billion casino empire. Now, I know some of you are going to say I'm being too harsh. You're going to say Cohen has spent money on the Mets. The payrolls have been high. He's invested in facilities and infrastructure, and that's all true. But money alone isn't enough. You need leadership. You need oversight. You need someone who's actually paying attention and holding people accountable. And I'm not convinced that's happening right now because Cohen's focus is elsewhere. Let's also talk about what happens next. The casino is going to require years of Cohen's attention. Construction, operations, staffing, marketing, dealing with regulations, all of it. This isn't something he can just set up and walk away from. It's going to be a major ongoing commitment, which means if he's already distracted now, it's probably going to get worse. And while Cohen is focused on building his casino empire, David Stearns is going to continue making terrible decisions with the Mets. He's going to keep operating like he's running a small market team. He's going to keep letting players walk and making trades that don't make sense. And the Mets are going to keep getting worse because there's no one at the top holding him accountable or demanding better. Here's the question that Mets fans need to be asking. Did Steve Cohen ever really care about winning championships with the Mets? Or was the team always just a means to an end, a way to build goodwill and credibility so he could get his much more lucrative casino project approved? Because the evidence increasingly suggests the latter. Think about it. Cohen bought the team in 2020. He spent a few years making noise, spending money, building up the fan base and the public's perception of him as a committed owner. He weathered some controversy with the insider trading stuff. He positioned himself as someone who cares about Queens and about New York. And then once the casino got approved, the commitment to the baseball team seems to have evaporated almost overnight. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. That's what it looks like when someone uses a baseball team as a tool to achieve a larger business objective. And now that the objective has been achieved, the tool isn't as important anymore. I also want to talk about what this means for the future of the franchise. If the Mets were always just a stepping stone to the casino, if Cohen's real focus has always been on building his entertainment empire with the baseball team as just one piece of it, then what happens to the Mets long term? Do they become an afterthought? Do they become something Cohen owns but doesn't really invest his time and energy into? Because that's basically what we're seeing right now. Cohen owns the team. He's paying the bills. But he's not doing the things that owners who are serious about winning do. He's not in the war room during free agency. He's not pushing his front office to be aggressive. He's not holding anyone accountable when the roster gets worse. He's just letting David Stearns do whatever he wants while Cohen focuses on his casino. And here's what really bothers me about all of this. Mets fans were sold a dream when Cohen bought the team. They were told this was going to be different, that the days of the cheap Wilpons were over, that the Mets would finally have an owner who would do whatever it takes to win. And for a couple years, it seemed like that might actually be true. But now it's starting to look like the Wilpons were just replaced by someone who's using the team for a different purpose. The Wilpons use the Mets as a personal piggy bank. Cohen is using the Mets as a tool to build goodwill for his much more profitable casino ventures. Either way, the fans are the ones who suffer because the baseball team isn't the actual priority. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Steve Cohen bought the Mets primarily to help get his casino approved? Do you think the team was always just a means to an end, or do you think I'm being too cynical and that Cohen genuinely cares about winning championships? Because from where I'm sitting, the timing of the casino approval and the immediate collapse of the Mets' competitive intentions is just too convenient to ignore. The truth is, we may never know Cohen's real motivations, but we can judge him by his actions. And his actions right now suggest that the $8 billion casino is his priority and the Mets are an afterthought. The roster is getting worse, star players are leaving, and Cohen is nowhere to be found, demanding accountability from his front office. That's not what a committed owner does. That's what an owner who got what he wanted and moved on does. Hit that subscribe button if you want more honest content that asks the tough questions about this organization. Drop your thoughts in the comments about whether you think the Mets were just a tool for Cohen to get his casino approved. And I'll see you in the next video where we continue holding this ownership and front office accountable for betraying the promises they made to this fan base.